Hello and welcome back, guys, to this interview experience webinar. And today we are discussing about the interview preparation strategies. So we have framed a new webinar title for you guys, and to make it clear for you to have an idea about how the experience matters. Okay, and for today's webinar, we have Abhishek with us. And for that, we'll need to, before proceeding further, I would like to know that if I'm audible to you, and drop in some comments, and let's have some chit chat and let's engage with each other before we call Abhishek here. Okay. Hi, Divya. Thank you so much. Some more comments I would really appreciate here, guys. So please drop in some comments and let me know that you are safe, you're sound, and your parents are safe, your family is safe, and am I audible to you? So I'm waiting for your comments here. Okay. Okay. Hi, Utkarsh. Afternoon. Hi, Nagula. Hi, Priyanka. Okay, guys. So let's not waste any more time here, and let's welcome Abhishek here. So, guys, let's do it. Hello, Abhishek.
Hello. Hi everyone.
How, how are you?
Amazing. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How has it been, in this pandemic, sitting at home, working from home?
Uh, it's been a little weird after having spending all the days out of home and then coming back to home and working the whole day, not spending much time with family. So yeah, it's quite good or quite weird. I don't know.
I can understand. I can understand. So
Uh,
let me make it more clear to the audience that
yeah.
this interview experience is about UX, and where Abhishek will be sharing his experience of almost 3 years in this field. And accordingly, you can plan your strategies and go ahead with your interviews, guys. So, because I guess I have answered your question here. Okay, so let's begin and let's move on. Let's begin with the first question, that is introduction of yourself. We would really like to know about yourself. So tell us about yourself and your learning journey.
Yep. So hello everyone again. I'm Abhishek. I work at Mobiux as a full stack web developer, right? So that's pretty much about it, I guess, in field of job related to geeks for geeks. So my learning journey kind of started back then when I got my first desktop at my home, and it was back then when I was in sixth standard, and I started playing games, obviously. And at that point, I thought of being a game developer until I reached my college and realized, okay, that's something different. That's not actually what I want to do. So I opted for a college where I can do just computer science, and I went into that. Had a good time in college, and something that I learned from college. Um, the first year was pretty much simple, as you know, everything is new. We experienced quite a lot of things for the first time, and then in the second year I started trying out few things like developing some projects or working with some people around me or in my area, right? Once I started doing that, I started a blog, Expert It Up or something. I don't know whether it is live or not. So that blog was just an experimental blog to post something and watch the response, right? And basically learning web development. So I tried that in second year, and then in third year I did some more projects, and then fourth year, final year, some projects. So in my project, I did a project to integrate the smartwatch with a smartphone, and then detect whether the person is facing any health attacks. Generally, what we see is there are accident detectors in cars, bikes, or vehicles, but um, uh, we don't have a facility to detect anything happening to us right at the moment, right? So smartwatch and smartphones are something that we always keep with us, right? So I integrated those, and using some of the basic readings that I could find, I just set it to maximum readings. Okay, yeah, this is when we decide, okay, this person is facing some health issues, and we drop a message to the nearest hospital, right? So that was about my college journey. I did a few more things in social media, like starting pages and then growing some audience. I have quite some 2 3 pages, right? That was college journey. And then when I started with the interviews, uh, is that going to be in next question, or can I elaborate more on this?
Okay, so we'll be discussing about the your first job. How was your experience of getting your first job, and we'll
Uh-huh.
be discussing about when you switched your job. So how
Okay.
was it different from your previous one? So there are questions that we have for you.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, quite a lot I learned in my college days. Nothing much in school. That's something we are not even sure what we are gonna do, right? So in college, I tried quite a lot of things related to development, related to social media, related to marketing, all those things. Like everybody wants to be a hacker, I also wanted to be a hacker at one point, right? So by the end of fourth year, I started giving my interviews in my eighth semester, and the first company which visited our college, it was a startup, Bangalore-based startup, and me and one of my classmates got selected till the last round, and then in the last round we realized those guys are picking up top two from each college, and then they are gonna pick just two from all of those top twos from other colleges, right? So that was pretty hard interview for the first go. Couldn't clear it. That's all right. I mean, and that was the first interview of my life, as to go into a job life, right? And then I continued, couldn't find myself a job for almost a whole semester. And then I was pretty disturbed that I was one of the technical guys in my college, known for it, one of them. There are many better than me, but still, right? So I couldn't find a job. College ended. I got my results. It was pretty fine, um, but I still didn't had a job, right? So I kept on searching for it, and when I started giving interviews, there is something common. Uh, all the interviews which I gave, they never wanted to know how much certifications I have, how much knowledge do I have, how much I can learn. There was a small factor which people might not notice, which is how much you can implement, how much do you have your hands-on experience, right? So in that case, I already had an idea about this, and I never went for certifications because I always wanted to showcase myself with my projects, right? Like I told you, I did quite a lot of them in college, so I had a good portfolio. I developed a simple web page for myself and to showcase all that. Started giving interviews again. It still didn't go well, and I landed into an interview. One bad experience. I went into the interview. I got selected, and they gave me a basic pay of 3 or 4 lakhs. I asked for it because I was not able to find a job, so I asked for 3 or 4 lakhs, and
Wait,
then
wait,
they,
wait a second, Abhishek. I'm so sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
but I think someone has dropped in some comment
okay.
that not audible. So guys, please
Oh,
give it a thumbs up if we are audible. Okay, Divya, we are audible. Any more comments? Like we would like to appreciate more comments to know that we are audible or not. Okay, hello Jitu. Let me know that we are audible. Utkarsh. Okay, I think we are audible. I think there's some issue from somebody's internet. Please continue. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
okay. No, no, that's all right. Okay. So once I asked for the basic package, just because of my life, they offered me even more. They told me, you have more skills, so we are going to offer you a little more. So they went to 5 lakhs or something. And then 3 days into the job, they told me the lead is not there to sign your offer letter. So let's continue working, and then we will see it. When I finally got my offer letter, it was just 1.5 or 1.8 lakhs, which was pretty shocking because they offered me more, and they are giving even less than half.
Right.
So at that point, I discussed with them what's the matter, and they told me you will have to work on AngularJS and um, Node.js. Basically, once I start working on those things, and then there will be yearly hike, right? So in that case, I was not satisfied with my salary and my work, because one should always know what is the skill, what is the value of that skill, right? So if you know AngularJS, you should know that this is the basic pay that I should get even as a fresher, because you have that skill, right? So I was not pretty comfortable, so I just left the job the same day, the same moment. I left it, and then I went on and kept on searching for more jobs, and then finally landed to one product-based company. They were building a restaurant's operating system. The interview was pretty simple. That was my first company, and in the interview they had an assignment. With that assignment, I just had to manipulate a file and give them some a desired output, like manipulating all the data. It was just a inventory kind of data, right? Some products, their prices, how many sales and all. So once I figured out how to do that, I just submitted the interview. They called me for an interview was pretty simple again, just a little bit of algorithm questions, data structures and algorithms, and that's the key questions for all the developers, right? Once they were comfortable to know that I am good at coding, basically. So the difference from other interviews was everybody was aiming to get something out of me in a specific programming language, right? But in this company, they didn't look for it. They just wanted me to code in a good way, right? And they liked my code, they hired me, right? So that was my journey of landing into my first job. Okay, so the key role here in the interviews was we, like we don't have as a fresher, we don't know what company wants, right? So that was one of my mistakes in finding jobs, and another mistake was not using the terms and the terminologies or what we have generally.
Exact
Eh,
terminologies.
yeah, exact terminologies in the right way at the right moment, right? So those were few mistakes which we can discuss in the next question. But yeah, that was my journey.
Thank you so much for elaborating your journey, your college journey, and getting your first job. Um, okay, so let's move on to the other question, where we would like to know that have you been a part of any interview process lately, and obviously how is it different from your first job, like.
um, I haven't appeared any further interviews since then. So actually, after the product-based company, one of our company members, one of the co-founders, he started a service-based company, and I moved with him along. Right. So there was no part of interviews. So I'm really sorry if I can't share that experience of giving more interviews. But yeah, I have some friends, and the basic thing, that very basic thing I always hear from them is data structures and algorithm. As you reach further in development job roles, right? They want to see how much you can. How much idea do you have about the algorithms? Algorithms are not in direct use, but those give the interviewer an idea about how much you can think of, implementation wise. How much idea do you have about something, and how efficiently you can do that? So that's the whole purpose of data structure and algorithms, and that was it.
Okay, no issue. So, you have seen your friends, who are
Hmm.
switching jobs from,
Yeah.
from their first job to next job. So, have you noticed the interview process, like how much they, struggled for first job, and then how are they getting their second job? So, some basic, I would say some tips you would like to give to the viewers here.
Okay. So for the first interview, the college students especially, they should realize that what is the importance of using the keywords when you are answering something, right? That's really important. I didn't realize it on time, because you might use some word which sounds very general, but it might have a whole different meaning in development, right? So that's the point, that you should all, and something related to this, you should always be familiar with the common questions that interviewers ask, right? In development job role, as I said, they will be asking about algorithms a lot, and trees, or some data structures, or some pathways to find the shortest distance, right? All those things. When they're asking about that, you should always be familiar with the common terms that come into that picture, right? So if you're not very familiar with the very basic definitions of loops or variables, or the difference between the variables that we use in one language, or the hooks or states that we use in JavaScript or something, right? So if you don't know the difference, and then it's really hard for the interview to trust you, right? So you have to showcase that you are really familiar. If your language is informal, you're talking in Hindi or your native language, that's all right. But you should always be aware of the terms, that are being used in your answers. That is one thing. Another thing, whenever you are searching for a job, or a job switch, right? Or specifically for freshers as of now, fresher. Okay.
Maybe
So
for
so
freshers and anyone you feel like, okay, okay.
Okay, so as a fresher, your first impression matters somewhere, because when the employer comes to an interview, they want to see your confidence, right? On top of the development, because development is a field where you need to explain a lot to the customers directly, or to the management team, right? Because there are some implementations which are hard to implement, or there can be some implementations which doesn't fit into our environment, right? So those things should be communicated really well, and that's the reason everybody looks for a good communication skill in all the freshers, or even further, right? If you're not good at speaking, that kind of disturbs the interviewer a bit, and they won't be in favor of hiring you, right? They might find someone else who is average on development and really good at speaking, right? That can happen.
Right.
Yeah, because just because you are unable to explain the things, right? Yeah. So that's another mistake. And something for the experienced people. If you are in one company and you are not comfortable with your environment, if you are having some fights or something, there should not be any fights with your current employees, because when you go to the next interview, that affects a lot. They might verify your details and find out that you are not a good person, as in personality, right? And then that somehow creates your first impression also. If your previous company has a good feedback, your next company is going to have a good feedback too, right? False information for freshers, false informations on their resumes, right? When they write a resume, they might write a lot about I know this, I know that, I have worked on these frameworks, or I have deployed this projects, right? So in that case, the interviewer will for sure ask something in and around your projects, right? If you have done certifications, they will be asking about your certification knowledge. And the people who write a list of certifications, they should always be aware certifications are somewhere a small degree, right? That gives you a certification that you are qualified for this knowledge. So you should have all the basic knowledge at least, so that if an interviewer asks you, you should have that overview. Okay, this is the thing which I have read, or I mean worked on in a certification or a project, right? So never a false information. Some experience from me. I somewhere mentioned that I have been in National Cadet Corps, and I'm really good cook, and I got a offer of cook at some point. So false information, a big no. And then being very informal in the interviews, right? If It's fine if you talk in Hindi or native languages, but it's not fine if you go too personal, or become way too informal, like if you're talking, yeah, using way too much of slang, all those things, that affects a lot. uh, just the basic things about your body language, and those things. About the knowledge, I'll talk about the experienced people. When they have worked on one or two companies, when they're switching, the main purpose there is, they will look at what you have implemented as a developer, what is your potential to implement more, right? And how much overview do you have about a project. So like in my current job role, I lead a project which is e-learning platform. Me and one of my colleagues are building it together, and that e-learning platform contains all the taking classes and all those things, right? So if I go for next interview, I should be able to answer what an e-learning platform basically consists of, what are the basic elements, and what are the technologies that we use, right? And why not other technologies, all those kind of questions, right? And basically towards the depth of architecture of each project. So if you are a developer, you have to know what is the tech stack you are using, and what is the reason you for using that tech stack, whether it is efficient than other tech stack that you can go for, or whether it is just interesting thing to do, or a latest technology in market, right? So you should have a reason for that. And then the way you implement things, what have you used specifically, if it's a payment integration, what have you used, Razorpay or Stripe or whatever. If it's a communication channel, whether you have used a WhatsApp or just the emails, right?
Right.
So all those implementations, all those architectural things, that overview, you should be having that confidence over what you have implemented and what your team was doing as a whole, because your experience increases as your colleagues work on the same project, right? Like, he is doing this, I'm doing that. So that whole overview is really important, and the knowledge and the user base, who is actually using your product and how efficient it is, how effective it is, right? So
Right.
all these questions related to the technology and how are you going to implement it. If they give you a scenario, something similar, like I have worked on a e-commerce project also. I was leading that project to build their dashboard and show them analytics of all their products that they have, right? So in
Right.
that case, the very basic question people ask is, how do you map all the products? Like, there are plenty, millions of billions of products in market, and if you are purchasing Maggie, you should have a common code for that somebody is buying Maggie, right? So
Right.
those kind of things, and you should be aware about what are, if there is any IoT device or something being used, you should be aware about that also, because these are the related questions that will come in into the next interviews. Yeah, so this is something, and in and out, people can analyze themselves, they are always free to analyze themselves. So always there's a trick, whenever you are preparing for interviews, always try to know what you have done. It might look like a small thing, you might have implemented a really a short thing like a to-do list or something, but that might be a great thing for somebody else who is going to hire you, right? Yeah.
Right.
So self analysis.
Self-analysis. Okay, self-analysis and the work that you have done before, you have to have the
Yeah.
knowledge about that. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's really great. Okay, so let's move to the other question, the last question
Yeah.
that we have for you, and this is the question we have, that what do you think a resume should be built over the year, like someone having experience of 2 years, 3 years, and while they change their job, and how they should make changes in their resume, how should they build up their resume over these years. So
Okay.
your view on that.
Okay. So just before that question, when you are building your resume, right? You need to work on projects. You need to you might have different companies in your journey, right? So when you are changing your companies, that builds up a resume. Why are you moving to some other company, right? So that whole history, that whole timeline defines you, right? So you need to go really carefully about your development career. Um, so my basic idea, my personal view on this is, when you're switching a company, or when you are opting for a job, or you are going into a stream, you should always look for what's your self growth, right? Once you're growing, once you're at a place, like, I haven't switched my company because I'm feeling I have a good growth here, right? I'm pretty comfortable financially and mentally, there is no pressure on me, right? So if that's the case, you don't have to switch your job. It's just a myth that you have to change your job or 2 or 3 years, or something like that, right? That just builds a timeline. If you have good projects, if you have good opportunities, just continue there, right? And over the period of time, when you have a timeline in your resume, like, this is what I have worked on, it should look like you started from scratch, right? When you
Right.
started from scratch, you were just this. If I show you my first portfolio that I built, it will be really a basic level thing, basic level HTML or CSS, right? and then when I built it next, I use some more frameworks, and then if I do it now, I'll be using Next.js or React.js or something, right? So that timeline should be represented in a way that you are growing consistently, right? And and you always have some new things to implement. You are continuously thinking over the solutions, right? Because that is the very basic thing. When you are in career of development, you should always be more creative, and should be able to give out solutions to the problems, right? If I'm working on a e-learning platform, if they want to conduct classes, I should be able to answer them how will they take classes, whether it will be on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or some other platform, right? So all these things matter, and it should show you a timeline. When you look for some ads, or when you look at the journey of a company, you see them, they are growing, right? There is a exponential or a consistent graph. So they started from somewhere, and they are ending up somewhere else, somewhere higher, right? So journey of or your resume timeline should represent where did you start, and where are you ending, right? So that journey, along with all your experiences, all your projects, and it will be it is always better to have a wide number of projects, not as wide as you are just working 1 month on a project and then leaving it, not like that, but a good experience, so that you know the whole architecture, and you are actually able to implement the whole organization's platform, right? So that is the timeline one should aim to build.
Okay, I think that's really great. That's really wonderful. Okay, so we are done with our questions, and
Okay,
let's just jump into the comment section and take up some questions from the comment section as well. Okay, so
sure.
there was a question that I saw earlier, and let me highlight it here. Okay, so let's take this question from the Jitu Bansal. His
Okay.
question is, how how can like can I get a job as a fresher? Like any upskills program is available. Like he just wanted to know about this.
Okay, so as a fresher, obviously, as a fresher, everybody gets their first job as a fresher. So obviously, you can land a good job, but you need to focus on your skills. I mean, don't go for certifications, as I told you. Go for certification, but those should not be highlighted, right? Those are not anything that you can represent about yourself, because that's just a learning path that you have taken. Rather, showcase your projects, showcase them what you can do actually, so that it you have a stronger portfolio, and you have a stronger knowledge about the tech stack that you work on, right? So as a fresher, build your tech stack. Don't jump into two boats at the same time. That's really wrong. Define yourself, experiment for a few months, and try to find out what you are really interested in, what's gonna help you later. It might be sales. Some people realize a bit later that they are good at sales, not at development, so they will switch. So you need to find that interest in you. If you are really want to be into development, go for it. If it's software development, be there. Don't try to jump into web development then. So the development streams that matter a lot, keep that fixed, and uh, have that need in you, that if you're looking for a job as a fresher, don't settle for less. That's the biggest mistake one does. And people just go for lower pays and compromised environments just because they are not getting a job. You will get a job, but you have to be consistent over your interview process, and don't lose hope.
Okay, great. Jitu, I think Abhishek has answered your question here. Okay, Abhishek, let's take one more question from the comment section. This is from, okay, I don't know, Raj. Okay, he is 2017 pass out, and mostly of his interview questions on year gaps. So he has a year gap in his resume. So how to answer for year gap?
Okay,
His
so
question.
there's something interesting about that. So I have friends who have such a history, right? But there is always a simple answer for that. You don't have to panic about it. You But over these years there should be a skill or something that you did. It can't be idle. If it was idle, you did a blunder somewhere, right? So you have to pick that up and develop some skill and showcase some projects instantly. As of now, at least you will have something to showcase now. But if you did something, if it was bodybuilding, or it was on social media or marketing or a digital a media agency or anything, right? So if you have that kind of experience, it need not be technical, but you have to have some experience that you tell them, okay, this is what I was doing. Or if you fell sick or something, there are some health conditions sometimes, then you can convey that. Always that's not a big deal. You can tell them it was a pause for 2 years. But if you have some skills, trust me, it works a lot. Because I have been doing this, telling this to all my friends, and when they tell anybody that they have a page with 500K followers, or over a million followers, or somebody is starting their own company, right? So even if you failed at that attempt, it's all right, but you did something that matters. So answer like that. Tell them about your experiences in those empty years.
That's great. I'm so sorry, but I read some comment from someone,
Okay.
and it's really funny. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Let's take this question from Mahendra, and his question is, "Sir, how to create a good developer portfolio?" Please,
He is actually my classmate. So
Nitesh.
this this guy is uh, okay. So how to create a developer's portfolio? You can just go for any of the frameworks for front end and start developing, man. And whatever idea you have, put your pick, put your creativity inside. Do it like a code based thing. It might look like a terminal window, but your portfolio is a portfolio. So represent it as the way you want. Is there anyone
Okay.
else?
Yeah, there is some guy, and I'm so sorry. हमें नहीं पता अच्छे दिन कब आएंगे. I'm so sorry. Okay, I want to take up this question here. It's from Vardit Jain. How to
Okay.
handle situation when we don't know the answer to an interview question? Like how
um
to tackle that?
if you really don't know anything in and about that, just be straightforward and tell them, I'm not aware about this, or I haven't looked into this field as of now, right? And you are going to learn, so it's always right, all right, that you don't answer one or two questions. If you answer everything to an interviewer, he might be pissed off, right? So don't do that. I mean, there is always a scope to learn more. So
Yeah, so
it's all right.
yeah, it's alright. I think it's alright. You have to just convey that you don't know it, but you are ready to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how it goes. Okay, so I think we have take up some questions from the comment section as well, and because of the time constraint, we cannot take all the questions, and some questions are not actually for looking for an
Right.
answer. Okay, so Abhishek, your buys and anything you want to say to the audience. So we'll just wrap it up here.
Something related to this COVID situation. People really lose hope really quick. So be consistent, guys. Keep trying. Interview processes are a bit hard nowadays. We understand, but you will land a good job. Trust your skills and be consistent over what you want. That's it.
Okay, एक second. One question that I feel that we should take up. It's
Okay.
from it's he's saying that he's a Java full stack developer with 3 years of experience. He's getting job suggestions for Node.js, React.js, and Mongo. So, do he need to prepare them and start applying? What do you
Uh, if
think?
you if you if you already have experience of 3 years in Java full stack development, then I think you should stick to it. It will build your portfolio in a better way than moving to JavaScript frameworks or MongoDB, right? MongoDB is still fine. That's a database. You can just switch the database and start trying it out. But moving to Node.js and React.js, if you're not comfortable with JavaScript, it might take you some 6 months to get comfortable with it. Uh, Really comfortable, as in the production level, right? So If you can do it within 6 months, it's well and good, you can switch it. But if you are really good at full stack of Java, I would suggest to continue there, and you can have a better career path in the same thing. Because as you grow, you should always be in the same domain, so that it builds your trust over people, right? That you are doing this from so many years. If you switch your context, you will be a fresher again. So don't do that, if possible.
Okay, so I guess we have answered this question. So Abhishek, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your learning journey and giving so much of detailed what you say detailed tips to the viewers. And I think that's really wonderful that we have covered so much in this session. And I think people who are watching us right now might get some help from this webinar as well.
Yep, yep.
Oh, thank you,
And
Abhishek. Thank you so
we
much,
give free
everyone.
advices, so reach out anytime.
Okay, so guys, you can reach out to Abhishek on his LinkedIn profile, and we have given that in the description as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. Okay, guys, so this is it for today, and we have done such a great webinar today. And also, we are having a simulated coding contest for you guys, and if get enrolled in that coding contest and increase your chances of getting placed, and it is a simulated coding round for Flipkart. So go ahead and enroll yourself. Apart from this, we have developed an app for you for Geeks for Geeks, and if you feel like you don't want to open a laptop and study, you can go and download the app and study from itself also. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being such a good audience, and thank you so much for making us laugh. Thank you, and we'll meet again and give you some more insights about the interview strategies and interview preparation strategies about the experience of the others. So let's catch up later, and thank you so much. Please stay safe and enjoy at your home.